Greetings loyal subscribers and honoured guests. We're up to the third episode of this year's Summer Backlog Challenge with this video, so we're progressing towards the goal quite nicely, although it is too early to start relaxing just yet. The focus this time is that rarest of occurrences in the age we live in, a fully physical only video game release. Yes, that's right, publisher Devolver Digital have deliberately decided not to make Demon's Throttle available on the Nintendo eShop, a move which has definitely caused the game to get more attention than it probably would have otherwise. In April of this year, they announced that they had acquired Doinksoft, who had previously made the highly regarded Gato Roboto, a black and white platform game starring a cat piloting a robot. Their follow-up turns out to be quite a different style of game, though it still retains a retro aesthetic. This time we have a vertical shooter which would not have felt out of place at all amongst the library of classic NES titles, where you control both a gunslinger and a lady vampire on foot as they lay waste to hordes of evil demons across 4 different stages: Hillside, Snowlands, the Sands and the Demon's Lair. Should you play solo, then you can switch out the character you are controlling at any time with the press of the Y button. You also have the option of playing in co-op locally with a friend, should you have any of those. The gunslinger fires a single powerful shot straight ahead and has to reload after firing the 6 bullets in his revolver, whereas the vampire fires 3 weaker crossbow bolts at a time spread out in front of her. I initially favoured playing as the gunslinger because it is easier to kill the tougher enemies with him, though as you will find out it is important to use both characters equally. This is for a couple of reasons. First of all, each character can take a certain amount of hits before they are dead, with the gunslinger having 5 hits and the vampire 4. When playing alone, you can tactically swap out to the other character should one be in danger of dying, and then swap back should an enemy drop a heart, which restores 1 hit point. The other reason for swapping is that you'll be earning experience points for each kill and levelling up as you go. So for both characters to remain effective in combat and for you to stand any chance of beating the game, both of them will need to be equally strong. When powered up enough, the vampire eventually becomes more useful than the gunslinger, but this takes a level or 2. The final part of the control scheme is the jump button. Enemy attacks do have height to them, so jumping is essential to prevent yourself from getting hit sometimes. This mostly comes up during the boss fights, but it also may help you get out of a tricky situation during the main stages as well. In addition to your main weapon, each character also has a throwable sub-weapon, dynamite for the gunslinger and a homing knife for the vampire. Again, these need to be collected when dropped by enemies. On top of this, there are other power-ups such as a temporary shield, a spiked ball that orbits your character, a speed boost, or a tempo increase which lets you shoot faster. You will probably have noticed from the clips that a lot of the scenery can be destroyed, which is where you will find a lot of these power-ups. Sometimes you will also find stairs down to a cellar, which is randomised on each playthrough, and these take you to a sub-level with its own boss that need to be defeated to earn a chalice. Finding these stairs and killing the boss on all 4 levels is the only way to get the true ending, which will take quite some doing because Demon's Throttle is not an easy game by any means. It is also quite a lot deeper than may be immediately apparent. The more you play, the more extra elements will unlock. These vary from adding different options for the screen borders or unlocking a sound test to adding different variants of the stages. Once discovered, you may find that a given stage will randomly become a variant on a future run, such as it being rainy on stage 1, during a blizzard on stage 2, or having meteors constantly falling during stage 3. This doesn't change up the first stage very much, apart from adding a pool of water that will slow you down during the boss fight, but it makes the other levels significantly harder because you will be pushed around by the wind in the snowy stage, or under constant threat of being squashed by a meteor in the desert stage. When these happen, they can be quite a pain in the arse, I'm not going to lie. Play the game for long enough and you also unlock a bestiary. It's not immediately obvious how you add creatures to it because they are not added by simply killing them. Instead, you have to wait until an enemy randomly drops a piece of meat during a stage, and then at the end of the stage, after beating the boss, you have the opportunity to enter a turn-based Pokemon style battle with one of the critters, and only should you win will it be added to the bestiary. So you would need to play an absolute ton of this game in order to catch them all. Visually, the game goes for the look of a classic NES title, and it honestly could pass for a game from that console. Each level is set within a distinct biome, and there is a wide range of enemy types, and the stage variants also add a nice bit of atmosphere to the game when they occur. My only gripe with the visuals would be that because they have decided to stick to a classic 4:3 aspect ratio, roughly 40% of the screen is taken up by the borders. This isn't an issue if you're playing in docked mode with a nice big TV, but it's a bit trickier in handheld mode. When I first got hold of the game, I hadn't yet upgraded to my OLED Switch and tried playing on the original model, but I just found the playing area too small. The game features some nice chiptune music and some speech that is deliberately a bit garbled to simulate the sound chip of an older system. It's a neat touch that just helps sell the idea that this is a long lost title from the NES vault. Now, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you and admit that I haven't as yet managed to beat Demon Throttle. I have got to the final stage a few times, but I've always died pretty quickly there. Nor do I know how many more hidden things are left to unlock or how exactly you unlock them. I have not determined whether it is by hours played, progress into the levels, or the number of attempts taken which unlock things. So far, nobody online seems to have fully documented exactly what secrets can be found in this game, which is exciting in some ways but frustrating in others. I have spent about 8 hours so far playing it and seem to have hit my personal skill ceiling. I'm not saying I'm not going to play the game anymore after writing this review, but for the backlog challenge I'm going to consider myself done with it for the time being. So it's hard to quantify the value for money of this title exactly, because the amount of time each player will spend with it could vary by quite a bit. If you were concerned it didn't have any depth and it was just a 4-level arcade game though, you needn't be. In the UK, Demon Throttle has a recommended retail price of $24.99, but Game has reduced that down to $16.99 and CEX are asking for a similar amount for a used copy. It's fairly easy to get hold of a copy, at least for now, as most branches of Game and many online retailers are stocking it. In the US it's a slightly different story, as over there it is a special reserve exclusive. So you may not be able to just stroll into a shop and find it, but you still shouldn't have too much trouble if you order online. If this looks like the sort of game that interests you though, you may want to act sooner rather than later, as it may become harder to find in the future. While Demon Throttle is not the sort of game I am very adept at least not in my 40s as my reactions have slowed down, I have enjoyed the time I have spent with it. If you have a like-minded partner that you could play the game with, I could see that being a ton of fun and perhaps the ideal way to experience it. Overall, I'm going to give the game a score of 8 out of 10, as it is a solidly made game for a fair price, just a bit too challenging for me. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it then please consider leaving a like, dropping a comment, subscribing to the channel or sharing on social media. Hopefully I will be ready to review the 4th game in the challenge in 2 weeks. See you then, and in the meantime, take care.